Welcome back, everybody, to the Joey Osborne Show. Your host, Joey Osborne here, breaking down some of the biggest news in sports this week here. So let's get into it here. Starting off here, of course. Let's talk about the main thing in this video here we're going to talk about today. The Edmonton Oilers. Of course, we all know the team that has Conor McDavid, man who most people consider the best hockey player on the world right now, with also Leon Draisaitl as well. And let's be real here, they completely stink. They are, I think, 2-9-1, and it's just fired their head coach. And there was a lot of frustration going on in that building there. So let's get into it here. Of course, I think the antithesis of where this all has begun is, of course, a very slow start to the year, not doing well at all. But now, of course, they lost to the San Jose Sharks, who are probably the worst NHL team I've ever seen. I'm dead serious, too. Like, I don't think I've seen a team this bad. Like, the Penguins, let's be real. I'm going to take the example of the Penguins game that they played last week. The San Jose Sharks, well, doing completely awful and while scored, I think 11, actually, no, it was 10 in the first game, before the game before they played the Penguins. And the Penguins, obviously, massively struggling. A lot of questions didn't need to fire Sullivan, stuff like that. The things, it just doesn't seem like it's working so far. And, of course, obviously, it's early in the year, but it just doesn't seem like it's working well at all. And they come in and beat them 11-2. And it's a team with a lot of question marks and struggles to begin with that. Of course, I think a lot of them since then have actually gotten addressed, and they actually do look a lot better than they have, thankfully, which is, it was a little concerning that beginning there, but they're finally getting back on track here. But honestly, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. When it comes to Penguins, but honestly, they played a good game that game, and honestly, it worked. And it was 11-2. Like, it was a complete blowout. This is a team that had a lot of struggles going against the Sharks. And even then, the Sharks could only muster up 2 goals. And they got scored 11. Like, they gave up 11 goals in one game to a team that was struggling with scoring goals and finishing off chances. So that gives you an idea of how bad the Sharks were. And now Edmonton obviously coming in, you expect something, when you have Conor McDavid, when you have a guy like Conor McDavid, you have expectations. And those expectations need to be very high because this is a guy who doesn't come around all that often, and he's the type of player that when you have him come around, you need to make sure that he actually can succeed and do well. Because this is a guy, obviously, who can do wonders for your franchise and get you to where you need to go. It's obvious to say that's what he can do. Rarely do you see these guys. And we've been lucky to have a lot of them recently, but you're not going to find a Sidney Crosby every single year. You're not going to find a Connor McDavid every single year. You're not going to find an Alex Ovechkin every single year. And of course, you're not going to find a Conor McDavid every single year. At best case scenario, they'll show up once every 5 years. I'm not surprised about the difference between Bedard and McDavid we had. I thought it'd be a little bit long before the next one after McDavid, but, wasn't good, right? It was 2016. Actually, no, 2015. My mistake. That 2016 is Matthews. Yeah, so 2015 and 2023. That wasn't good just about 9 years. Now, it's not as big of a gap. I thought, I screwed up McDavid. I thought it was 2016. That's Matthews, though. But yeah, definitely, they did come out a lot quicker than you thought the next big guy would. Because normally, obviously, when it comes to the big name players, it's at least one a decade. Right now, we have 4 of them playing in the NHL, which is awesome, of course, to have these guys found. But definitely, these are guys that don't come out all often. And so when you have a chance like Edmonton, of course, obviously, to be able to have one of these guys, and not them, like any team in general, you have to make sure you capitalize on it. Because this is a guy who obviously, he's going to win these Stanley Cups. He can definitely do that, talent-wise. But what Edmonton has done so far has been the complete opposite. As just saying, Boston's won one with Ovechkin. They've done that. And he's done insanely well for them. Obviously, of course, Sidney Crosby, he has a whole bunch of them from the Pens. Obviously, another kind of guy like McDavid, massive hype, got a whole bunch of them. Obviously, you can't say Compadon's for him because he just got drafted this year, obviously. So he's not really in that sense of winning one yet, but I do believe, obviously, he will get one pretty soon because the Blackhawks actually are looking to have a decent young core forming there, and obviously, they will have a lot more to work with soon, and Connor McDavid's just the cornerstone for what they're going to build the whole franchise around for the next course, 2 or 3 years so they continue to rebuild, of course. Obviously, when you look at it, there's the expectation they're all going to probably win the Stanley Cup. Like that, the expectation of Bedard winning Stanley Cup is there, and I think it's a quite higher possibility that he wins at least one, if not two. But Conor McDavid here, I think a lot of expected him to have a Stanley Cup, if not multiple Stanley Cups. He obviously is the kind of caliber player who can single-handedly lead you there. Like, he is on par with Sidney Crosby. He's on par with Ovechkin. So the expectations have been Stanley Cup. But that has not happened to this point at all. He has had insane regular seasons, which honestly are generally amazing to watch. Yet come postseason time, there has been nothing there. He's been good, but he hasn't won. He's lost games. Obviously, so you gotta ask that question here. He's really good. And it's not like he doesn't have in the past. This year seems a little different, but in the past, he has had good teams with him for the most part. Like, there's always been some big holes. I think goaltending, obviously, which we're going to get into here soon, about Edmonton. That has always been a question. But definitely, of course, in years past, he has had solid teams, especially forward core-wise. I think they're pretty solid for the most part. Maybe lacking one or two depth pieces, but overall, pretty good on, forward side. But when you look at it, they haven't won anything. And it's kind of baffling as to why they haven't won anything. And honestly, what I can tell you right now from what I see as why McDavid is, of course, obviously he's not having a bad year, but on his standards, it's a bad year. Overall, honestly, it's a good year for anyone else, but on average, this is a bad year for him. So a lot of questions are what exactly is going on here? And I think that's a lot of things Hawks fans wonder, why is this happening in Edmonton? Exactly. What is probably the main cause here? Because, if you're a guy like Conor McDavid, you should not be 2-9-1. You should probably be a lot better than that. And when you're taking Leon Draisaitl as well, in fact, why on earth is this team 2-9? But obviously, if you watch the games, you can tell that they've have a lot of holes in their roster to this point. Goaltending has been a real issue to this point, and I think it's something that really has caused a lot of issues. Of course, obviously, they went out, acquired Jack Campbell and free agency. Of course, the former Toronto Maple Leafs goaltender, who had a very good start in Toronto, but obviously there were some questions there if he could continue to keep it up. He has not, and things have not gone well to this point, as he's been a disaster, and they have, I think, waived him as of last week. And if wondering, I'm not sure if he waived back or not, but he may have waived back. I think last time I saw, he was in the AHL, playing for the Edmonton affiliate in the AHL. It's a complete disaster. And then the other goaltender, it's the same exact story. It's the same thing. Completely awful. There's not really a defensive core in Edmonton or either. They just do not have a good build roster. And there's a lot of blame now. And also, I think the blame here is really for what's going on so far. Because I'm be honest, if you're listening to the Sharks, you're not going to do anything good. You're a bad team too. And Edmonton is a bad team. I think that has to be just, notified here. Edmonton is a bad team. They are not a good team. Even though they have McDavid and they have Draisaitl, two guys aren't going to save them. They just are not good enough to win. And I think the main guy who has caused this issue, obviously, is Kent Holland, the GM of the Edmonton Oilers. Clearly, things have not gone the way he wants, and it's not been well to this point here. And clearly, there are some massive issues with the way that they construct their roster. Of course, now Edmonton is looking at the fact of trying to make changes here to fix the situation. Of course, firing the head coach, as of I think Saturday was, they fired him. And honestly, that's not going to fix anything. The issue here of Edmonton, and I'm just going to say it right now, as we look at it right now, McDavid will not win a Stanley Cup in Edmonton. He is not going to. Leon Draisaitl is not going to win anything in Edmonton. Let's just get that out of the way. Not happening. Not a day. No. Just no way it's going to happen. They just are not in a level where they can compete. The time when they should have been competing for Stanley Cups was 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. That was their shot. That was one time when they should have had a competitive team that could, obviously win Stanley Cups. They have not done that. They have completely failed whatsoever. Conor McDavid is getting, I think, very close to having to sign a new contract. But obviously, I gotta look at that to make sure. So let's take a look at McDavid's contract here for a sec. But honestly, let's see. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of questions here of how long he's willing to stay here. And clearly, there's a lot of, issues with it to this point. And let's see, where was it? So it expires here in 2025, 2026. So that's 2 years from now. His contract expires. There was a no movement clause on the contract for this year, next year, and the year after, until he's a free agent. However, the thing is here, for no movement clause, that means they can't trade him. Unless he says he wants to be traded, I think. To that point, obviously, of course, I don't have the contract with me, so I can't exactly, figure out what exactly they mean by the no movement clause. If it's like, we can't trade him or he has to stay here, obviously. And he also has a contract. But you need to start asking the question here, is McDavid going to stay? And I'm going to ask you, I don't think he will. I think he wants out of Edmonton. It clearly shows he's had a lot of issues in practice. Allegedly, there's been a lot of conflicts in that locker room about it. And, definitely, if you look at this, it's like, what exactly is going on here? Like, what is the issue that's causing this? Obviously, of course, I think the roster has been poorly constructed. It's not been good. And clearly it shows and explains why the Edmonton Oilers have been so bad. Clearly explains it to this point. And you got to wonder, are they going to have to trade McDavid? And honestly, I think that's a reasonable assumption. I think they may have to. McDavid has been on this team here since 2015. So it's just simple math here, quick math. 5 plus 3. That's 8 years. He's been playing in Edmonton for 8 seasons now. This is 8th year in Edmonton. He signed a massive contract. He's already got paid by Edmonton. He's already got his money. Doesn't need the money. He wants to Stanley Cup. That's clearly what he wants. He knows he's the best player on the world, in the world. He knows that, obviously. That this year he hasn't really been playing like it. To be honest, he's getting out playing by Bedard right now. It's just a little embarrassing because he is like Bedard's going to be on the same level, but he is a rookie. He used to be playing a little bit better than him. And Sidney Crosby's also kind of playing better than him, which, Sidney Crosby is, of course, one of the best players of all time. And he still is really good, obviously. But honestly, even then, he's kind of having a down year this year so far, and he's still playing McDavid. And, definitely McDavid has not been the best player in hockey this year. And I think that's not really an issue of his skill rather than his happiness. I just don't think he wants to play for Edmonton. I think clearly shows he kind of regrets signing that massive contract that the former Oilers GM, Peter Chiarelli, gave to him. He clearly just, doesn't want to be there. And I can't blame him. Look what Edmonton's done. What have they really done to, give McDavid a chance to win a cup? Nothing. What have they done to give Leon Draisaitl a chance to win a cup? Nothing. They haven't done anything that's really good enough to get there. They've tried the big, going out there to get someone, but either A, it fails, or B, they get the guy and then he turns out to be a total bust and it just screws everything up. It just, it doesn't really work, and clearly they have a lot of questions to fill. And when it comes to McDavid, we know he's good, obviously. I don't think this season really reflects what has happened so far. But you do have to start asking here with the Oilers, do they trade him? Because I obviously think I think McDavid wants out. I'm honest with you. Conor McDavid is not going to be an Edmonton Oiler by the time his contract's up. He's not going to, when his contract's up, he's not going to go. He's not going to stay. He's going to be gone. He is not staying unless they really decide to go in and try to actually build a contending team. And I don't think they have the GM to do it. They clearly don't. The way the roster is right now, it's in complete flux. There's not that good of a defensive core. It's not completely awful. There's some okay pieces on there, but it's not good. The goaltending is a complete disaster, and it's just ridiculous. Forward pairing, him and Draisaitl are good, but other than that, they're not really that good. Just, it's not like the Pens of 2016, 2000. It's not like the championship-winning Penguins. They're nothing like that. Where they built around Crosby with some other great stars, players, and they won games. and they had good contributing players on every single spot on that roster. They were good contributing players. Same with Washington when they won for Ovechkin. Have had good contributing players on all four lines, all the defensive spots, and good goaltending. Edmonton does not have that. And I think, obviously, I don't think you can put Conor McDavid on par Sidney Crosby right now. Like, the talent, yeah, you can put him on par now. But, like, with the success, that's going to be on McDavid to this point. That's going to be on him. He can't win in the playoffs. And I know Sidney Crosby had those questions at some point in his career, too. But by this point in his career, he already had at least one Stanley Cup and made it twice. And at least when the Penguins were in the playoffs, they normally lost not because of him, but because of evil coaching issues, or there's just a better team and they just didn't have the luck. And I don't think that's the thing with McDavid. I think McDavid's kind of stuck in a situation where he's not going to win. And it's just, it's rough to see that, obviously, because, Edmonton, they have great fans. I will say that. They really do have great fans. And I feel bad for the fans right now because clearly Edmonton's management doesn't know what it's doing. Obviously, the hire they made at the time, I didn't think it was that bad in Holland. Obviously, did come from Detroit, where he definitely had success in Detroit. I think he was the GM in 2008 when they won a Stanley Cup, and it was 2019 that lost to the Penguins. I think I'm after checking my show as a GM, but I think he was. It's not like he made bad moves. Well, he did make bad moves. That's why he got fired. But it wasn't like he was a bad GM. There was definitely a situation that he wasn't that bad of a GM. It's just what happened to Detroit was this natural process of them coming down from being good and just getting back to being awful. It was just the end of Detroit's reign up in the good teams. And obviously that happens. Every team has a life cycle, and Detroit's it was just too far gone, and they definitely tried a little too much to keep it going, and it backfired a little bit on them. But teams are still and Edmonton, when they're hiring a guy, they're looking for a guy to make them contenders. They weren't looking for a guy to just keep a streak alive. They were looking for a guy to help them get to where they need to be. And this was a guy at the time who, had made teams that could get there. But what's been going on in Edmonton is a complete joke. It's a complete disaster. They have not done that. And clearly, now looking at how things have gone, they're awful. They are not a good team. And clearly it shows to this point here. And yeah, I think definitely he is gone after this year. I don't think Conor McDavid is going to be here. I think he's going to get traded. And I think there's a lot of teams who will be chomping on the bit to try to acquire him. And honestly, I can see him wanting to go someplace where there's other players like him. And when I mean other players, I can see a team. And I know this seems a little odd, but no way it's happening. But you gotta take this in effect here. He definitely could want to go to a team that he knows he's gonna win somewhere. So he could easily be going to a contender to this point. And he may go to a place that definitely fosters players like him, I can see Washington being a place he could go. Obviously, they've dealt players like Vessel before, and they've got him cups. Pittsburgh as well. Obviously, Pittsburgh have to figure out how the heck to get cap space to get him. And if he's going to play with Crosby, or obviously this could also be after Crosby is gone as well. But, they know how to deal with players like that. He could be going to a place like that. Honestly, he could go to the Blackhawks. Because they clearly, they know what they're doing with Bedard, and they're clearly getting him on the path where he needs to be. From right now, it seems like he's on the right path. I can see him going now. There's a lot of other teams that have had spectacular players in the past who are on that level who he could go to. I think Boston is a place that could really foster him well and get him to where he needs to be. I think, honestly, Toronto with Austin Matthews, even though they've had some horrible luck, they've developed him nicely, and they've actually built a team around him that can compete. I think Toronto's a place he could show up. Obviously, I think he's going to a winner. He's not going to a loser. He's not going like the Coyotes or anything like that. He's going to go to some place where he knows as a fact that a player of his caliber, they can help him win and get what he wants, which is the Stanley Cup. And I think that's where he goes. I could easily see him going to Colorado and trying to play with Nathan McKinnon. I think he'd go all over the place. But it's teams that have to, have been known to actually use the talents on par with what he is and do that. I think that's where he's going to go. Now, obviously, there's no definitive answer. He could go all over the place, but I think that's what the goal is once he gets out. is that he's going to go someplace like that. And I think right now that is what he needs the most. And I think obviously McDavid as well. I mean, twice out of McDavid. As ask the question here, where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? And I think definitely that is a place where he could definitely be going. So yeah, I think that really fills it up here. But I think that was the big story in hockey this week is Conor McDavid and Edmonton Oilers drama. Obviously, that's my take on what exactly is going on now, what's going to happen, and I think it's the Titanic. To be honest, the Edmonton Oilers. I'm just going to use them last year to finish this off here. The Edmonton Oilers are the Titanic, and the NHL, and this year is the iceberg, and it's heading straight for the iceberg, and it's going to crash, and McDavid's going to and Draisaitl are going to dip as soon as humanly possible. That's what's happening. Unless, obviously, of course, if Edmonton can get the Titanic back on track and not hit the iceberg, then they're probably fine. But I don't think they are going to. I just don't see this management team really going to be able to get things back to where they need to be. They're not where they're at right now, where they need to be. And I don't think this management team and this ownership group is good enough to get them to where they need to be. And therefore, I was going to say here, Edmonton is running straight for the iceberg, and I expect them to fully crash in, and the Titanic is going to sink. That's just what I expect at this point, because it's been awful. But let's move on here a little bit. Let's get out of hockey. Actually, no, let's just say the Pens on a 4-game winning streak, and I'm happy. So that's what I'm going to say about the Pens. They're winning, and I'm happy. That's pretty much it. But let's move into some football. Obviously, of course, Monday Night Football tonight. We still have that. And I think it's Broncos-Bills. Yep, Broncos-Bills tonight. I'll see you guys my predictions now on that. Bills are going to kill them. The Broncos, they have been playing a little bit better recently than after the whole 70-point fiasco. Of course, if you guys watched that episode, I did kind of go off on Sean Payne and those guys. They have gone better. I will say that. They have actually played better, and I will give credit very well. Credit obviously is due for them. They have played a lot better. And the Bills definitely lost. They have been the exact opposite of what we all expected. Obviously, Josh Allen is kind of just killing the whole team right now. And yeah, that's what happens when you get your face on Madden. You kind of get that course. So I'm going to be honest with you. This whole season with the Bills, if I was them, I'd just draw it up to the Madden course, but never again. Never put a guy on our team on Madden again. Because as a Steelers fan, I have some very hurtful experiences from that one. The last time we had someone on there. If you're wondering, that was the AB went Kuka for Cocoa Puffs, and he was on the cover. Yeah. But let's start here, obviously, the Thursday Night Football game. One of the worst I ever saw against the Panthers and Bears. Bears prevailed 16-13, and the Panthers, obviously, 1-8, and right now favorites to be the first overall pick in the draft. Only one issue with that. The Bears have it, not you, because you trade up with the Bears for first overall pick this year to get Bryce Young, who is not even the best quarterback in the draft, as obviously if you saw my pre-draft thing, I clearly said CJ Stroud is going to be the better one, and CJ Stroud has been one of the best rookie quarterbacks I have seen in my whole lifetime. He's been spectacular. I would say he's done a spectacular job in Houston, and Houston's really done a great job, of course, using their using a good offensive coordinator, and actually getting his young players to obviously play well. Unlike someone, Matt Canada, yeah, definitely, of course. But if you look at that whole Panthers-Bears game, if you're a Panthers fan, this is just I think they were expecting. I think Panthers fans were expecting was some a little better this year. I thought Bryce Young would help out. They'd be a little better this year. I always thought when I saw this movie, I'm like, this does not seem like a good idea. I think the Bears just fleeced them. I think the Bears just had a massive win here. This is great for the Bears. The Panthers, an interesting spot, but are you really good enough to be doing something like that? I was like, I don't know about this. This seems pretty questionable. I don't think it's something I would do. I'd be willing to trade for a quarterback, but I wouldn't give a king's ransom for one. And it wasn't a bad quarterback draft, But I think this year's is better. I would have just waited to this year for the better one, Hey, maybe I can get Caleb Williams, who honestly isn't that good, but at least this year hasn't played the best as what we expected, but He's still probably gonna be a good quarterback. I could, Caleb Williams. Hey, the local guy Drake May, he's right there. He's really good. He could be someone. Quinn Ewers, he's pretty good. He could be someone you can put up there. Bo Nix is pretty good. Penix is really good. You know, and there's a lot of other guys too that are kind of considered pretty good. Like it's a better draft class than last year. We knew that coming in that this year's good, but next year maybe even better. And that's not even taking in Shadir Sanders, who obviously, of course, is going to not declare this year and go for next year because he wants to be number one overall, which can't blame him. He is insanely talented. But yeah, like I don't get what the Panthers' now was in saying, yeah, Bryce Young's better than all these guys. I want Bryce Young. And now they've probably given up a chance at getting a really good quarterback for a guy whose ceiling is probably good, but never great. Like a guy he'll win the games, but he's not going to win a Super Bowl. He's like, honestly, he's going to end up like Derek Carr, I feel like. That's what I think Bryce Young is going to end up like. He's not good to the point where he's going to win Super Bowls. He's an okay player. He was good at Bama. I'm not going to deny you that. But he also had a completely stacked team at Bama. You got to take that in effect. Like you said, you put Kenny Pickett, and that's what I said when he lost the Heisman. You put him in Alabama, he probably would do significantly better than Bryce Young. Because he would have a lot more talent with him. The same. Same with Stroud. I think actually, Stroud did win the Heisman, but I think the first year he lost to Bryce Young. You can say the same with Stroud. Put Stroud in the Alabama offense. He's got to do better than Bryce Young. Like Bryce Young, he's not a bad quarterback, but he wasn't worth what the Panthers gave up. And now the Panthers, obviously, you're losing the first round pick. You guys just taking the fact of, this has been a complete disaster. And, it's been a complete disaster. And this now lost to the Bears, who have been completely awful, and was on a D2 quarterback, not even a D1 quarterback, a D2 quarterback who played slip and walk and IUP. And that was in his, last, I think, 8 opponents I saw, or something like that. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like, you lost to this guy? Like, if you're losing to this guy, it's pretty embarrassing. Now, obviously, I think 2 teams have lost to him. I'm trying to remember what was the other team who lost to him, but there was another team, I think. Actually, no one else. Actually, no, I think the Raiders lost to him, too, yeah. But the Raiders did actually fire Josh McDaniels, thankfully, too. But, yeah, this, it's a complete joke. Like, what happened? And clearly, it's not good what happened. And honestly, it's just the Panthers' the way Dave Tepper is running the Panthers organization is just not good. He clearly didn't learn from his time working with the Steelers how to run an organization. Is now trying to do it his way, and clearly his way is not the right way, and it's causing massive issues for the Panthers that I think is going to affect them for years to come. They're going to lose out on a guy like Caleb Williams or Bo Nix or, any of the quarterbacks. They're going to lose out on that. And there's some good other players, too. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. Have you seen that guy? Like, he's insane. Like, he's probably one of the best wide receivers we're ever going to see in a draft. He's that good. Olaf Fasciano, the offensive tackle from Penn State. Guy's one of the best offensive tackles out there. He's a spectacular guy. Like, if he would have declared last year, he had a good chance of honestly being the first offensive tackle selected. He had a great chance at that. And now it's a good offensive lineman draft too. Like, it was a good draft for them. It's just completely, horrible move. Should have never been made. Not sure why it was made, but it happened, and the Panthers obviously are going to pay the consequences of that action. And the Bears, this is the big win this year. Because not only are they not that good at all, and they're going to play have a top 5 pick, they also have the Panthers pick, which I'm guarantee you is probably going to be the first overall pick. Barring some sort of miracle from Carolina, which I don't think it's going to happen. This is that bad. They can have the first overall pick, and they'll probably have another top 5 pick. And just saying, Justin Fields and Marvin Harrison looks pretty nice right now. I'm going to be honest with you. Just saying, Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney with Justin Fields, that's a pretty good offense. And say you get another offensive tackle like Fasciano, you're cooking. You're cooking with gas there. And they got Montez Sweat to help out with the pass rush. The Bears have a spectacular opportunity here that land right at their fingertips thanks to the Panthers, not thinking it through. So, I know it's just a win for the Bears, But obviously, here moving in, Colts Patriots. Colts won that one 10-6 in Germany, and Deutschland did not get to see a happy Bill Belichick. They got to see the angry, depressed one, which just puts a smile on my face because I hate the Patriots. I'll probably talk about them more in another episode here. Because obviously, things are unraveling. This episode's starting to get a little long. If I start getting on the Patriots, it'll be another 20-minute tangent, and honestly, don't really need that. But I'll also probably have another episode. Hopefully, either this week here. There's a lot of excitement building up here. We got some guests hopefully coming on very soon, so that'd be cool. But Browns Ravens, a spectacular game by the Browns defense. They rebounded nicely from that horrible opening when they were losing. I think thought like 17-3. They bounced back and won 33-31 over the Ravens, and it was a great game by the Browns. I think Deshaun Watson played off in the first half, but he did buckle down finally, and he did play well enough to get them a win there. So I think that honestly, I think overall he had a decent game. Not what you expect from Deshaun Watson, but I think he is actually getting better. At least this week was a step in the right direction for him to get back to what he was. And Ravens defense, yeah, that was disgusting. I'll be honest, they like to collapse. I'll be honest with you, they do kind of collapse a good bit. But Browns defense, they figured out how the Steelers beat Lamar, and they did it to Lamar too. Now they didn't do it to the extent that the Steelers do usually from Lamar, but they figured out how to beat them, and they beat them because of that. That's how they won. They played a solid, great game, and I think the Browns defense honestly really deserves a lot of credit this year. Obviously, Steelers fan, normally you don't compliment the Browns, but I think you have to this year. They've done a great job. They have a fun defense. I'll be honest with you. They have a fun defense. Like honestly, when I watch them, I'm always like, that's a good defense. That's a defense that Pittsburgh should be. That's what I expect from Pittsburgh. And Cleveland's. I think they're turning the corner when it comes to certain things. I think they're getting better in areas where they need to, but they also have issues. Still have some of the issues they've had for years now. But I think overall they have become a better team, and I think they really are starting to finally make some improvements on where they've been at to this point, where, of course, the Browns being kind of the laughingstock of the NFL. I think now they're finally starting to get to where they need to be to not be a laughingstock. I think they're finally starting to, you're not, expecting to beat the crap out of the Browns. Right? Now we're starting to be more like, yeah, the Browns are a good team. I can see them beating us, you finally can start to respect the Browns. You can always respect the fans, but you couldn't respect the team because the team obviously kept, being awful. But, obviously, you always respect the fans just because, if he can stay that long for the team that bad, that is impressive. You know what I mean? That's true loyalty, and that does deserve respect for the fans. But now you can finally start to respect the team as well, and they are starting to really come into round. And honestly, even though I'm a Steelers fan, it is nice to see them finally have some good moments there. Because I'll be honest with you, being an AFC North opponent, we've seen what's happened to them. And it's rough. It definitely, if it was us, it would be tough too, So it's nice to see them finally get on the right track there. Still not the best quarterback that I'd much prefer them still have Baker instead, just because I think Baker's a better guy. And probably a better quarterback too, but that's beyond the point. Texans Bengals, nice thriller. Good job to the Texans for beating the Bengals. That helped out the Steelers a lot. And CJ Stroud once again went off, and he's been fun to watch. I didn't expect this from him. I expect him to be a good quarterback, but I didn't expect this. And I'm not even an Ohio State fan, but I've actually really enjoyed seeing him succeed to this point. And the Texans finally have themselves their franchise quarterback, and I think definitely they're in a great position to win a Super Bowl within the next 5 to 10 years. I expect them to get a Super Bowl finally here because they are in a great position to do that. But now moving on here, 49ers, Jaguars. Jacksonville looked completely awful. And 49ers of Chase Young was just as dominant as I thought it would be. And I think now 49ers got to be the favorites to win the Super Bowl to this point. They just went out there and they just completely destroyed the Jags, who, finally starting to look up a little bit, look a lot better than what they were. Of course, if Kenny Pickett didn't get hurt, I think they're 5-4. But, definitely, if you look at, they are a team that going up and coming. A lot of excitement with them. And the 49ers just completely dominated them, destroyed them. That's pretty much what sums it up. Vikings, Saints. I'm not surprised Vikings won. Josh Dobbs looked great. It's nice to see Dobbs doing well. And yeah, that's a good one. Packers, Steelers. I guess we gotta go in this one here. Packers, very up and down the whole game, but there were some improvements I thought for the Packers. But there were some areas like, ooh, this is still pretty bad for them. And I don't think Justin Fields is. Jordan Love. Yeah, I messed up with the J's here. Jordan Love, obviously, definitely does not seem to be the guy. I think they need someone else. On the Steelers side, the running game was finally alive and well. That was good to see. Najee and Jalen Warren both went off in a big way. The defense completely was awful. And I just, honestly, I think those issues are more scheming than actual talent. Yeah, I just think they really scheme guys to be wide open and it kills them. That's what made Levis do so well Thursday night. That's what made Jordan Love do okay on Sunday. Wide open guys, easy to get balls into. And it clearly showed. And now let's talk about the Steelers' passing offense. That was just a disaster. I don't know if it's just Pickett suffering from a rib injury. That obviously could be playing a factor, but it's just been off. He's been off lately. I don't know what exactly you do there because he's missing some good passes that he's easier to make. But the odd thing is he's making some passes. Like, how are you making that? Obviously, there was a great pass from him to Deontay Johnson that Johnson dropped, but, there were flashes there, but it's just not consistent yet. I don't know what exactly he had to do to be consistent for him. I think, obviously, an offensive coordinator, I think a new one probably will help. I think they need to get a guy who's actually had success at the NFL level as a quarterback and someone who can help him out. Cough, Big Ben. I think obviously he's a guy. Someone they just need to be someone who can help him out. Because clearly he has the talent. The problem is he just can't get on the field for the full game to this point. Like it's there. Like he has. I know. I tell people agree. There's something there. It's just he just hasn't gone onto the field yet. And I get the rib. If it's the rib injury, it does make sense. You know what I mean? Like I'm a little surprised he's still playing. It does seem like he's not the healthiest out there at the moment. I will say that, but he does need to play better. I think this game to play well. You gotta stop playing better. And we get the Steelers offensive coordinator's bad. We get the scheming's off, but it has improved. I think definitely Matt Canada on the sideline has improved it. I think with Pickett right now, it's good that he hasn't been throwing interceptions. Like he's not costing the Steelers the game, and that's the big thing is he's not costing you the game. But he does need to play a little better. I think definitely George Pickens needs to be used a lot more. Deontay Johnson just didn't do much yesterday, but in the previous games he had. I think definitely there just needs to be some more development with it. Do I think it can happen this regular season? He can get a lot better by the end. Yeah, I do think I think Pickett honestly will be fine. I'm not too worried at the moment, but these games have not been the best for him. Clearly, they have not been. He's got to be better, and he knows it. And he just come out of me as the kind of guy who will work to make himself better. And I think definitely he's dedicated and he wants to win. And I think he'll do it. And I think the Steelers will be able to hopefully find him a guy who can help make that happen for him because he needs someone else there to help him out at this point. And I think they will. But right now, they just need to find a way to slow down the game for him. Because it just seems like it's going too fast for him right now. Which is kind of odd due to the fact that last year, for the most part, he was able to slow down the game. He was playing at the speed that he needed to. So I'm not sure what has happened this year. It's been a lot faster for him. It's tough to tell exactly what that is. But they need to find a way to slow down the game for him and get him better. Do I think that's possible? I think it's definitely possible. I think Matt Canada down there with him should help. I think it's better that he has someone down there talking to him. I think that'll improve things. Obviously, I think it'll take a little time for it to improve things, but I do think it'll improve things. It's already improved the running game. I think they'll improve the passing game as well. But obviously, they need to incorporate the middle of the field. And that's the area where Pat Freiermuth normally came in last year. Without Pat Freiermuth, that's definitely been a struggle. But when Pat Freiermuth's back, I do expect the middle of the field to be used a lot more. But it still needs to be used more right now to this point. But overall, Steelers, they got a lot to walk through, and it's a tough schedule with the Browns and Bengals within the next 2 weeks. Buccaneers times, Buccaneers play dominated them. Will Levis didn't look good, and I am not surprised how that turned out. Cardinals Falcons, good game. Kyler Murray came back. He played well, and same with James Conner. And the Falcons are looking to finally be a little more alive here. And I think with Kyler Murray now, this team's going to improve, be a lot better than what they are. So I honestly do think they were getting really unlucky at times, and sometimes they were just getting flat beat because they didn't have that good of a quarterback. I think now Kyler Murray finally back there. I think things are definitely improve, and I think they'll get a lot better. Will they be a good team, make the playoffs? No. But they're going to get better and get in the right step. Because I'm going to be honest with you right now, they don't need a quarterback. I think Kyler Murray is their quarterback. I don't think you need to try to get Caleb Williams or anything. Because there's not a need for it. Honestly, they're very similar quarterbacks to begin with. You already have one who's actually had success at the NFL level already and is very similar to the other guy. It makes sense. I think you can easily keep him, no problem at all. And I think you can get a guy, if you can get 11 like Marvin Harrison Jr. or something like that. But honestly, I think with Kyler Murray now, that probably kind of takes you out of it. But if you get another great player, I think they're good. You know what I mean? And they're going to have 2 first-round picks this year, too. So that definitely will help them out a lot to that point there. Lions, Chargers. Great game for the Lions. Continuing to be dominant there. Dan Campbell leading the charge there once again with his team. And they're definitely, I think, all on pace to win the NFC North, which is something they have not won in a very long time. So a lot of excitement there for the Lions fans, and you can't blame them. They've been a good team for the most part this year. Great win for them. Chargers, another one they should have won. And you got to ask the question about Brandon Staley as the head coach again, because clearly they cannot come up when they need to at times. And they are a lot more talented. They are a way more talented team than what their record says. I will say that. But for people thinking this team's going to make the playoffs, I doubt it. I'm sorry. But if you see the AFC North right now, I'll be honest. I think all 4 teams make it in now. Just because they keep winning. And the thing is, too, here, and the team that's most likely not make it from that division is the Bengals. And even then, they're still a good team. So the whole AFC wildcard, I think most likely it's gonna have completely AFC North. So it's tough for the Chargers right now to this point. Cowboys destroyed the Giants. That's expected. Giants have probably turned into the worst team in all of football. Complete disaster there. Not sure what happened, but it's a complete disaster. Commanders lost to the Seahawks. Not surprised. That should have happened. Jets beat the Raiders. The Raiders beat the Jets. And the Raiders are doing well now with new life invigorated through the firing of Conor McDavid, and that's helped out big time to this point. And that's pretty much it here because nothing's been going on the MLB free agency side. Nothing's really happened to this point. So that's really going to finish it off for today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in here. If you guys are watching in on YouTube, thank you guys for watching the video. If you're listening in on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or Amazon Music, thank you guys for listening in. Continue to listen in, and thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.